Hello comrade. Blood Mage isn't the best idea as a league starter, but in the current league, things are even worse. The nerfs to Spark, Eye of Winter, Firestorm, Fireball, Frost Wall, and more left me unsure of what to play. At first, I was considering some kind of melee build, then maybe trying out spears, but in the end, I decided on Bone Cage. I won't lie, it wasn't the best start. At the beginning, the lack of cast speed and critical strike chance really hurts Bone Cage, and the absence of key support gems significantly reduces its effectiveness. I want to make it clear right away that this is not a finished or fully tested build, it's just a concept that I'm improving day by day. However, I want to share it at this stage so that you can follow its development or offer your own ideas. When I chose Bone Cage, I started thinking about how to make it capable of clearing maps and killing bosses within a reasonable amount of time. I was debating whether it would be better to increase the area in which Bone Cage operates, or perhaps shrink the area but boost its frequency instead. So, let's move on, starting with the skill gems. Let's start with the most important part, Bone Cage. As I mentioned earlier, I was thinking about the best way to approach it, and I decided to use Astral Projection, which allows us to cast it at a targeted location. To increase its damage frequency, I chose Spell Cascade. This causes 2 additional bone cages to appear on the sides, essentially tripling the effect. While it reduces the area of each individual bone cage, this actually makes it easier to hit enemies consistently. We also need to boost cast speed, so Arcane Tempo comes into play. However, due to Bone Cage's high mana cost and how frequently we cast it, Inspiration is also necessary to help manage our mana. As an addition for faster map clearing, I use Detonate Dead. I'm linking it with Spell Echo to repeat the explosion and increase overall damage output. We can also add Corpse Conservation to give the consumed corpses a chance to remain after being used, which helps maintain corpse density and keeps the explosions coming. The third skill is Bone Storm, which is mainly used for single target situations. Some boss hitboxes on maps make it difficult for Bone Cage to hit them properly, so Bone Storm fills that gap. Since its area of effect is large and many projectiles tend to miss the target, I added Ricochet. This gives projectiles that don't initially hit a chance to bounce off terrain and potentially hit the enemy. To boost damage, I chose Heft and Consider Casting. The last support gem I'm using is Fork, although I'm not entirely sure yet if it's the best choice. Blasphemy, linked with Temporal Chains, serves as a defensive layer and also makes it easier to effectively use Bone Cage. For support gems, I use Encumbrance and Heightened Curse, both of which increase the strength of the slow effect applied to enemies, giving us more control during fights. Now, let's talk about the items I'm currently using. Wand, it's not ideal, as it lacks critical strike chance, critical strike multiplier, or cast speed. These are stats I'll definitely be looking for in the future. Offhand, Focus, I'm using a Focus right now. What it's missing is the plus to level of all spell skill gems. The energy shield stats on it are unnecessary and could be replaced with more relevant modifiers. Helmet, I'm pretty happy with it, though a higher energy shield roll would be better. We need to make sure the critical strike chance is at least above 25%. Body armor, this is the most important piece. The main goal is to have as much energy shield as possible, since it allows us to gain a large amount of bonus life. Belt, as always, we want a high amount of life, mana, and resistances, especially chaos or elemental resistance. Boots, we're looking for 25% movement speed, high life, and resistances. Gloves, this is the only unique item I'm using. As a blood mage, we leech a lot of damage, but it's returned over time. These gloves make leech from critical strikes instant, and since blood mage has a high crit chance, it's very effective. Amulet, look for energy shield or maximum life, and critical strike chance. Rings, we want cast speed and life as the main priorities. Weapon swap, I use a staff that grants Sigil of Power. I'll explain the reasoning behind this later. Now let's move on to the passive skill tree, starting with the Ascendancy choices. Vitality Siphon, this is our first pick, as it allows us to leech a portion of our damage, which is essential for sustain, especially with how often we're casting. Grasping Wounds, converts a portion of the damage we take into damage over time instead of instant hits, giving us more survivability and time to react. Crimson Power, grants us bonus life based on the energy shield provided by our body armor, which makes a well-rolled chest piece even more valuable. Next is the part of the tree related to the weapon swap. In the first weapon setup, we have our main passive tree, so there's nothing particularly special there. However, the second setup is tailored specifically for single target. In this tree, we focus on increasing skill duration to get the most value out of our single target setup. I won't go into too much detail on the rest of the passive tree, as it's better for each player to explore and adapt it themselves based on their own playstyle and preferences. Single target setup. As I mentioned earlier, for single target we use Sigil of Power, which is provided through our weapon swap. Additionally, we use the skill gem Bone Offering, but to activate it, we need corpses. That's why we also summon sniper skeletons, as they are the cheapest and easiest to produce. If you happen to have excess spirit, you can spend it on convalescence, which acts as a panic button. It can quickly restore your energy shield in dangerous situations and potentially save your life. While mapping, the playstyle is very straightforward: run forward, and when you spot enemies, simply target them with Bone Cage. If you encounter a large pack of monsters, you can add Detonate Dead to boost your clear speed and wipe them out more efficiently. When it comes to single target encounters, the approach changes a bit. Start the fight by switching to weapon set 2, place your Sigil of Power, and then use Bone Offering on your summoned skeletons. Once that's done, switch back to set 1. Depending on the mobility of the enemy, choose between Bone Storm and Bone Cage. If the boss is slow or stationary, Bone Storm is better due to its higher DPS. If the boss is mobile, Bone Cage is often more reliable because it applies a pin effect that can lock down the enemy and even disable certain abilities. Everything I wanted to cover in this video has been discussed. As I mentioned before, this is just a concept build. Many things may still change as I continue to develop and refine it. You can expect more update videos in the future as the build evolves. There will also be a link to the build in the description below. Thanks for watching, and good luck out there.